are catching up on Pes 2016. Exciting times for Pes. We're just a week removed or something when the demo comes out. Big thing. You're back on your sort of original time slot this year, coming out in September. But I thought we'd start with this. The two cover athletes here. Neymar, of course, pretty obvious choice.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about Morata? What is it about him that you felt he's a good choice for a cover star?
I think he's a really interesting choice. I mean, there's many factors and reasons why we chose him. But to be fair, it's a bit like Mario Götze was last year. It was a risk. Now, sure, Mario went and scored a great goal in a great tournament.
The deal was signed before that, right?
Exactly, and we made a statement with it. And with Morata and Neymar, they actually share the same record in Champions League. You have Morata and Neymar both scoring in the quarterfinal, both legs, semi-final, both legs, and final. First time it's ever been done, and they share it. That's not the only reason. I mean, Morata is a great young player and fits more our strategy that we had when we signed Mario, which is a young star that we take a risk on. We want to keep the fans guessing a little bit on who we're going to sign, and I think Morata fits that. Where you would see it in another country, maybe you're not a football fan, you go, who's that? Morata. Oh, right, yeah. And it's that kind of thing that we want.
I mean, certainly, because he's also that kind of player who's like, he's not that well known in Spain either, like his home country, because he's been, become a star somewhere else, because he didn't get the chance at Real Madrid at the start of his career. So he's a little bit of an unknown factor in that sense as well, whereas Neymar back home in Brazil, you can't get any bigger than that.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think it speaks to one of our key markets there as well. Latin America is huge for Pes. It's still a territory. I think we get caught up sometimes here in Europe. We look at Pes versus FIFA quite a lot, and we see one being much of a bigger brand. But in Latin America, guys, it's Pes, And for us, having Neymar, the reason why he's in the Brazil shirt as well is to speak to one of our biggest markets there in Brazil. But in Latin America, but globally, Neymar is a world star. It's quite an easy choice when we were going for someone who was a young player and really good. I think we got the best one.
So, yeah, I mean, you're talking about these kind of markets. I was recently in Africa. Oh, wow. It's kind of interesting to see where video games is almost synonymous with football games there. They have these game rooms where they sit and play football games, and that's the only games they've got in that room. Yeah. PS3 is going and so on and so forth. So it is really, football games is such a big part of video games. And here in Europe, maybe we have such a diversity of different things, but for a lot of people, football games is video games.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also, people talk about licenses being important, and I personally, on a personal level, I don't care. It's more about the players feeling like themselves, Neymar dribbling like Neymar, and Morata scoring like himself. But when it comes to Pes as well, reaching those markets, it's usually something like a really iconic license that can help. And I'm sorry if I'm going too markety here, but we got the Champions League. We announced that a few months ago as an exclusive license for another 3 years, and that's something that is a huge license globally. People watch it. Obviously, everyone saw Neymar score the last goal in the Champions League, and it's one of those things that brings people together. And also, what we found is actually esports is actually helping us, reach those countries. So we're doing a lot more with something that we call Pes League, which is really for the people who want to get hardcore into Pes, and it allows them to compete in tournaments across the world, win prizes like tickets to the Champions League final. And we found actually the countries, the emerging markets as we call them, in the Middle East, in India as well, and in Africa, they're really into esports, so that's helping us as well.
I mean, again, it sort of speaks to that. So if you're not familiar to the video game scene, football is something that's easy to understand, like who's the better team and who's doing the better things on the pitch. It's sort of reach out a broader market there.
Exactly, but it actually gives you a challenge as well, because if you try to reach a new market and your game isn't accurate in stats, in formation, in player representation, people notice that obviously more when it's their local content. So it's really important, sorry about that, I'll try to raise my voice, but it's really important for us to make sure that everything in game is very accurate. So what we do personally is something that we brought in last year, which was data collection. Now this is really cool. So last year we worked between 30 and 40 people in local markets across Europe. This year we're working with over 100 people all over the globe. We're working with people in Asia for the Asian Champions League. For example, in Latin America, in each country, in Argentina, in Chile, in Brazil. And these guys check local press, speak to the experts locally, and they create not only the stats, but also, hey, this guy wears long shorts, this guy wears a wristband, he has his hair, he runs like this. And that's really important because, as you mentioned, football as a sport, it extends things. You reach new crowds, and I think the end game really is for somebody to see a match on TV and go and feel like they can play exactly what they just saw in their game. And that's what we have to aim for, true representation without taking the fun away from it.
You sort of dance around it there, but
yeah.
I guess we can go into some more detail on how you sort of changing up the game and sort of trying to make it more realistic in terms of the mechanics and in the game.
Sure. Well, I think the focus for us actually is making the game super responsive. We went back and tried to distill a lot of what made Pes on the PS2 days special, and a lot of people say feeling, but we have to try and make that into some kind of binary code, computer program. And really, it's actually the game being instinctive. And what that means is you reacting to something as it happens naturally. So what we've worked on is the ability to do that. If you see a run, you press the pass, the ball goes. If you want to go past a player, you move the stick in a certain way, your player goes. But still have that level of detail and balance. So Neymar, even though the game is responsive, players like Neymar move that little bit faster because they're better at dribbling. Even though everyone can pass straight away, players like Pirlo are going to be super accurate when they make that pass as well. We've really focused on that. And to balance it, for the first time ever in Pes, sounds a little bit crazy, the first time ever in Pes, we have a true collision system. This allows us and the user to be very physical. These days in sports games, there's been a lot of work on doing things like containment and backing off and letting the play go ahead. However, we want people to get physical. And sometimes it's difficult for a developer to give you an accurate system because sometimes you get bugs and players colliding weirdly. However, listen, you might get some odd things happening in Pes, but we'd rather give you the choice to get physical and see interactions which have been calculated than just have to back off because the game might go funny.
Because it is one of those things, like, immediately I'm thinking, like, oh my God, that change could really mess things up.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have gone through a lot of testing. Listen, it wasn't a one-year project. We've been working on this for a while as well. And I'm just being honest with you, though. I do see little videos coming up which are funny, which will make you laugh, probably make me cry. But it's something that we will continue to work on. But we don't want to shy away from it as well. We don't want to. We have a challenge in front of us, and we have to improve Pes a certain way. And if we're going to do it on the gameplay, we have to start focusing on these things. Like, I'll give you an example. We improved the AI so much this year, and you have to have a focus. And the focus was this. In sports games, in football games, in Pes, right now, to make a player run, you have to press a button. Pes 2016, we believe you'll never have to trigger a run again because the players are always moving into space. They're reacting, they're running off passes, they're seeing space and they're seeing danger. Everything is working properly. And what we had to do was do that actually because we were going for super responsive controls. If you control fast and your AI is slow, you'll feel it straight away. So we had to go for the mountains. We had to go really high with the AI and with the responsiveness. And the challenge as we move on from this year and we continue is by making the game real, animations real, without compromising that response time.
That is very interesting. That's sort of the triggering, because one of the benefits compared to being on the pitch, you're talking about Pirlo, of course, he's got superior vision all over the place. But one of the benefits as a video game player is that you have that vision. Yeah. You can make those plays perfectly because you see a run off in the distance or you see someone moving. So that is just something that sort of, as a footballer who's sitting in the stands, is sort of natural. Yeah. And you sort of immediately, if it's not there, it just feels wrong. Exactly,
and then you don't feel like the player, and then the game feels broken, and then you're not representing who you're trying to control. And usually when you are controlling Pirlo, there's probably a very high chance you picked that club because of Pirlo, because you know that you can dictate the midfield from him as well. So it's really important to make that accurate, but also balancing as well. So if you're also hitting a through ball over a very good right back, then he needs to probably have a better recovery stat to make sure that even though Pirlo's good, he can match him in that occasion as well. There's all these sort of rock, paper, scissors games going on across the pitch, and you have to try and make that fun. And it's difficult, but we think that just by giving you the control, it's about making you feel that, okay, the pass didn't get through, that was you. Maybe you didn't put enough power on it, or maybe you didn't direct it properly, but we don't want the game to make that choice for you, or at least make you feel like the game is making that choice for you.
Oh, that's a very complicated way of putting it, but I see what you mean there. Yeah. So first thing first, the demo's out in August, then the full game in September. Yeah. You feel ready for it?
That's why it's coming out next week. We're here at Gamescom. As I stand with you, it's coming out in 7 days. It's crazy. But, how confident is that? The consumer will play the game. I'm talking to you, and I appreciate you coming to me and speaking to me about the game. What I say to the consumer, they'll appreciate. If you tell them your opinion, they'll appreciate more because you don't work for Konami. However, they want to make their own choice. They want to have that choice, and we're giving it to them. And we know the risks. Listen, we know that if people play it and they don't like it, that's our day one orders gone, and people are telling people don't buy it. Actually, no, we truly believe in this game. So we think come August 13th, they'll play it and go, everyone needs to buy it. And I'm not sure how more confident or more of a statement that we need to make than that.
All right. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.